I have loved Married to Medicine for years, but I am sick of seeing the same tired dynamics in a lot of these women's marriages. This is my review of Married to Medicine season 12 and the first 5 episodes that we've seen, and my major takeaways about the women, the relationships, and the husbands. Overall, for this season of Married to Medicine, I haven't loved it as much as past seasons. I am a dedicated Married to Medicine watcher and fan, but this season is not hitting for me, and the main reason is I'm finding it a little boring and stale. We're seeing a lot of the same discussions, storylines, dynamics, and issues that we've seen for years. The highlight for me has been the new women added. Brandi, Dr. Mimi, and Angel have been really interesting to me. I've enjoyed getting to know them more. I'm excited to see more of them on my screen. I'm still loving people like Toya. I know Toya is polarizing, but I like Toya. I think she's entertaining. I feel the same way about Quad. However, when I think about my biggest issue and why I find it boring, it is that this show focuses a lot on the marriages that the women are in. And I'm finding that the stories about the marriages are repetitive. This is natural. The reality is for most people, they will have the exact same arguments for years in their relationships, and the dynamics in their relationships will not change. But then if you're watching a TV show, the result is you're seeing the exact same arguments and scenes that you saw 3 seasons ago. So I'm definitely not saying that I expect these women and these men to go through major changes in their marriage that we'll see on the show, but I don't need to see the same fight anymore between Toya and Eugene. I don't need to hear Contessa and Simone make the exact same complaints about Scott and Cecil. I don't need to see it. I've seen it all before. If they're not going to work to change the dynamics, why do I need to sit down and watch this and hear them complain? It's boring. Toya and Eugene. They are probably my favorite couple in Bravo if I have a favorite couple. I like Toya. I think she's entertaining. I like her energy. Maybe as a fellow Aries sun, I just love Aries sun women. I like Toya, even with all of her shortcomings. I also like Eugene. I think he's a great husband. Toya could not have done better than Eugene, in my opinion. And I mean holistically. I mean just in terms of like having a man that adores you, that respects you, that cares for you. Toya did well with Eugene. My issue is every season we see Toya disrespect Eugene. This is nothing new. Part of it was when she told him to eat a biscuit. Like Toya does this every year, and I'm sick of it because Eugene doesn't deserve it. And I don't like to see people disrespected on TV, especially like within their intimate partner relationship. But at this point, she's done it for years, and every time it's the same thing. She barely takes accountability. She never promises to do better or to change. And then she does it again, and it starts the cycle again of Eugene being upset and being offended and talking to her about it, yada, yada, yada. We've seen it all before. I just don't need to see any more scenes like that. Like, leave him on the cutting room floor, because at this point, I don't think it's ever going to change. I don't believe that dynamic will ever change in their marriage. And I'll say this overall for the other marriages I'll talk about, but that is the downside of making the marriages such a huge part of this show, is then it feels like you're watching the same scenes you saw 3 years ago. If the show was more focused not on the marriages but on the friendships, the women, their personal lives, their businesses, we would see some new stuff. But when you're following these marriages, you're going to see some of the same arguments because they're not effectively resolving the issues that they're having. The second one is obviously Simone and Cecil. I don't know if it was a season 5 or season 6 reunion where the cast talked them out of a divorce. I do feel bad for Simone that she felt so much pressure from her friends, the show, and society that she stayed with Cecil when clearly she was unhappy. And I don't think they ever fixed the issues they had when they had the first separation. And obviously those issues have now trickled down to issues within her familial dynamic, where she's not happy with her role as a mother, nor is she happy with her role as a wife and the dynamic that plays out in her family. So I feel really empathetic towards her for that reason. Unhappiness is coming out oftentimes in her interactions with the other women, and it has for years. I'm also a believer that Simone is jealous of Toya and Quad because Toya has a dynamic in her marriage that she is happy with, and Quad, who is an unhappy marriage, chose to leave and find something else. I believe that Simone is envious. I don't think that she'd ever use that word herself, but they spark really strong emotions in her, and they always have. And it is because she wants what they have, but she can't fully understand or articulate that. Now, on the flip side with Simone, I have for quite some time believed Simone was someone who really wants to stay on the show. And there's a lot she'll do to stay on the show, including being the producer's pet and playing up storylines. So when I saw her behavior after this episode aired, she went on Instagram Live with her husband Cecil and their 2 sons. And she basically was saying, we had a fight, but we're a great, happy family. It made me question, is she playing this up? I always question how truthful Simone is being and how much of this is just to secure her spot on the show, because I did find her behavior post-airing shocking. I definitely understand, though, as a mother, you want to protect your children and their image. A lot of people were talking pretty negatively online about Miles and Michael. So I think on some level, she came online to do PR for them because they are her sons. But it just made me question, well, how much of that was real? Because the emotions felt very heightened and raw, and it felt like they had some serious issues. And I watched some of the Instagram live, and I'm not clear on how they resolve the issues. It felt like Simone gave in to what her son was asking for and moved on from it, but they haven't actually resolved the issue they're having with the dynamic and her feeling overworked and underappreciated. So I do hope that Simone is not presenting this just for a storyline, but that's in the back of my head. That continues to be a big question for me is Simone just doing this to secure her spot? Because as someone that's been on the show for 11 years, I mean, I think it's a reasonable concern to have, which is, are they going to get rid of me if I'm not giving something interesting for the show? When Contessa joined the show, I loved her. She was one of my favorite newest additions, and I have been very disappointed with the more I've seen from her when it comes to her marriage. Dr. Heavenly clocked it perfectly when she said, Contessa wants to talk to you and complain about her marriage, but then she wants you to forget about everything she said. And it's really hard to do that with your friends. Heavenly should not throw it in her face the way that she has done for years, but Contessa wants to complain to her friends about her husband, and then we don't really see her addressing her husband, and then she wants to keep complaining. And at a certain point, it's like, girl, I don't want to hear you complain anymore because you're not doing anything to fix it. And Contessa definitely has a lot of negative energy towards other women that she should be directing towards Scott, because her going at Brandi about her cheap birthday dinner and why are we thanking your man for this? It's two things. I'm like, is she doing this to get a moment on the show, or does she really have this much misdirected anger that she's pointing at women and not her husband, Scott? So she is another woman. I don't care about their marriage. We know she's not happy. We know that Scott doesn't do anything. We know Scott doesn't act like he has her back. It's been that way for years. We don't need to keep talking about it. I don't care anymore. I'm over it. I do love Married to Medicine because as a Black woman who is from the South, I'm a millennial, but I do enjoy seeing these women, who a lot of them are Gen X women, seeing how they navigate life, love, and friendships. And part of why I think so many of these women are hyper-focused on marriage and staying married, whether they're happy or not, is how they were raised. For a lot of them, they were Black women raised in the South. They were raised that getting married, especially to a Black man with a good job, was one of your main goals in life. And they seem very hesitant to let that go, even when their husbands cheat on them, even when their husbands aren't supportive, even when they don't like their husband. Because I don't think Simone even likes Cecil, but I definitely think their culture and their age group plays a huge factor in why these women are so attached, not to their husbands, but their marriages, and why they place being married so high on their priority list, even to the detriment of their own happiness. And what I would love to see on this show is maybe more growth in that regard. It definitely feels like the women who I think maybe are unhappy in their marriages, Jackie, Simone, Contessa, will never leave their husbands because being married is so important to them. But I would love to see the journey of these women going from unhappy to happily single and being able to showcase that for so many women, not just in their age group and not just Black women, but women in general, to know that there can be happiness on the other side, even if it feels scary. I've been a little disappointed with the way that King has been speaking to Quad on this new season of Married to Medicine. I like Quad. I know she's a very polarizing figure on the show, but I was really happy to see Quad fall in love and get a second chance at all the things she wants in life and be able to have a baby. And I thought last season Quad and King were in a good relationship. He seemed like a great partner, but this season his energy towards her is very different, and I question if he likes her. He makes a lot of smart comments. He pokes fun at her, and his body language towards her is very cold and detached. I noticed even in their confessionals, he's not touching her. They're very far apart. He just feels different this season. I didn't get that energy from him at all last season, but like this season, it feels really different. And I hate that for Quad because I was hoping this could be her happily ever after. Another example of the body language problem that I was noticing with King is in the preview for next episode. Quad is crying and King is sitting next to her, but he's not touching her at all. He's not consoling her. He doesn't even have his hand on her knee. Like, she's just crying and he's looking at her, and he's here and she's over here. It's just very odd to me. It didn't really give that he was concerned, and I think that's definitely a red flag in a relationship. So I don't know, maybe he's not interested in having a baby. His comments have not seemed very enthusiastic about the baby and the IVF. And I do wish we'd see the women on the show ask her more about that. I'm surprised these women haven't asked more questions about why aren't you all getting married before the baby. These are a group of women who care a lot about marriage, and most of them had gotten married before they had a baby. So I'm just surprised that we don't see any of the women questioning Quad on why won't you guys go do a courthouse wedding before you guys start trying to get pregnant and have a baby? Because if some of the women questioned her on it, I think that would maybe give more context and help me understand why she's so gung-ho on doing this with him, where it feels like he's a little detached from her at this point. And I'm questioning, like, the longevity of this relationship. Now that I have gotten it off my chest of all the things I'm sick of seeing, things I found interesting. I really like the new girls. I like Brandi. I like Mimi. I like Angel. We got to see more of her in this most recent episode. I like Brandi a lot. Because this is Brandi's first season and her first time on reality TV. After Mimi's second season, Angel was on Basketball Wives, so she's not totally brand new to this, but Brandi being brand new, I love how confident she is. I love that she speaks her mind. I love that she doesn't let anybody punk her. I like her as an addition. And for me, when I think about Married to Medicine in the future, maybe they need to lean into casting more female physicians or more medical professionals who are women, because they are coming across like way more confident and self-assured. And I like that. I really, really like that. I think Married to Medicine could be a really tough group to join because there is so much tenure on the show. We have so many OGs, and you are walking into a show with so many women who are also accomplished. And I also get the sense that the OGs respect these new women a bit more than I've seen in the past. And I do wonder if it's because they themselves are also highly accomplished. I loved seeing their solo scene. It felt fresh for me. Like, it was just giving fresh and new, and I'm interested and I want to see more of their families. And that is what I hope this season and next season continues to move towards. So as we move forward, I'm really hoping that we can keep this season fresh. I'm hoping we see something that feels a little bit more enticing and interesting. And I'm really hoping that we see more of the new ladies, because they're definitely the bright spot for me in this season of Married to Medicine. If you enjoyed watching this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me on TikTok, where I post more daily content and quick takes on Real Housewives and all things reality TV.